It's a hot time in the old town tonight. Here's your relook at the NECA toys. This is the Hellraiser Series 2 Barbie. Richard Rick Bloodstone was a bartender working at a nightclub known as the Boiler Room who got along rather well with the owner until one fateful night when hell was unleashed on Earth and he himself was killed by Pinhead, who enveloped his head in barbed wire. As a Cenobite, he still has barbed wire wrapped around his body and his face, keeping his eyes shut. He carries a glass and a mixer filled with gasoline that he uses as projectiles similar to Molotov cocktails. He can breathe fire, kind of like a walking flamethrower. Sort of a blast from the past. I already had a look at Barbie in a previous review many years ago. We're going to take the tape measure and put it right to the very top of his head, and let's find out how tall this Cenobite stands. According to my tape measure, which I didn't have at the time when we first had a look at Barbie, but according to this right now, I'm clocking Barbie in at being 6.9 inches in height. We're going to switch that over to centimeters as being 17.7, a little over 17.5 centimeters tall. Ooh, a Barbie review. I wonder if she's a flight attendant. No, it's not that Barbie. If you tuned into this video with the hopes that I would be looking at a Barbie, no dice. We're going to be having a look nonetheless at Cenobite, who got his name Barbie by the fact that his face and his body is wrapped around in barbed wire. That seems tantalizing, doesn't it? Stay tuned, we're going to have a look at his closer details in a second, but let's first have a look at the trinkets that come included with Barbie. He comes with him a glass and mixer, if you do want to make yourself some cocktails. Probably not the kind of cocktails that you're going to want to be getting from this particular fellow. As you can see, the bottom half of the mixer, or the glass part of the mixer, is done in a see-through plastic. You don't buy that. Buy for the fact that my fingers are running behind it and you can see it. That's not dark magic. The top half has been done in silver. My guess is the entire thing has been done in this clear plastic, and they simply have just painted the top part of the mixer, which again you would shake and then break open, and then you'd pour the contents into the bottom of the glass. That's bartender 101. Probably was something a little bit larger than this. The mixer and glass does fit into its hand, and just in case you are wondering, no, it's not removable, you silly gooses. But it does fit into Barbie's hand. I mean, the only available hand being this one right here. The other hand is completely flat or slightly relaxed. So there's not going to be a whole lot of stuff happening in that department. We're going to put the figure down here for a second. He does also have an alternate face portrait. The face portrait does have his mouth open. Almost kind of looks as if he's yawning. Well, it does play into another accessory that comes included with the figure. The blowtorch effect, the flames that can come out from his mouth, you can just attach to his mouth like so. Missed how I did that? There's an opening right there, and you can just take them out. It doesn't seem like a specific way that you have to do it. In fact, the shape seems about the same both ways. Flipping around, back jack, attack, Zack attack, I don't know. But you can plug that into place. I like the fact that being it is alcohol, you've got the more blue-tipped gasoline. You've got the blue end of it here transitioning into white, transitioning into then the larger flames. This is the part that you'd want to stay away from. I think in general you just want to stay away from him anyways, but just in case you were thinking he was going to be a friendly fellow that you'd want to go up and kind of just shoot the breeze with, he'd be shooting some breeze at you, but it would be containing particles from gasoline, and it would be very uncomfortable to be near this guy. You probably would smell a little bit too. You'd have gasoline breath. Nonetheless, though, that's the alternate head portrait that he comes included with. Strong contender, of course, for displaying the figure when you've got something as cool or hot as this, so to speak. I probably will end up displaying him, because I've really had a lot of these NECA Hellraiser figures packed away in storage for the longest of times. My recent resurgence of interest stems only from the fact that we got ourselves of course, the now images of the ultimate Pinhead, and I'm super excited for that one. It kind of got the itch going. Don't worry, I'm going to go get some medical attention for that, for me to go back and have a look at some of these Hellraiser figures. They really are super old. Super old as well. The video is the last time I had a look at these guys. So we're going to put those down right there. Don't worry, we're going to revisit that in a second. We're going to take the mixer and glass out of his hand. And let's have a look at the defaulted head before we have a look and swap out to the interchangeable head. Living, yes, up to the name of Barbie. No, it's not Barbie and the Rockers. I'm sure he's not hanging out with some guy named Ken. But he does have barbed wire very painfully wrapped around his face. It causes him to be mute and blind, sort of just fumbling his way around. The detailing on it, for as old of a figure as this may be, does look quite good. It kind of looks like that guy from Game of Thrones. Valeris, I'm drawing a blank as to his name at the moment. I like the slight discoloration where the front of his face is a very pale color, but then at the back you've got more warmer colors. I really do think that's neat, how it's transitioning its way through. Cutting off the circulation, I would imagine, would have caused also the face to look a little bit more lifeless, maybe from the front. You can see how the barbed wire's latched its way onto the flesh and pulling and making its way as it's ripping through the face. Very gruesome, but very nicely painted for, again, a figure this old. Of course, standard staples for what you would expect to get with a Cenobite. Just a larger proportioned figure, often at times confused with Butterball. He happens to be the other portlier, I don't know if we can use the term portlier in 2020, but portlier Cenobites of the many Cenobites that work for Pinhead and Hell. Yes, this one is a little bit larger in proportions, but he does still have the more calling cards of what you would expect with a Cenobite, specifically like the robed outfit, which, as you can see, has some belts and straps that just dangle down. He's actually got it on both sides right here. As far as I know, knock on wood, nothing has been broken on this particular piece. Boy, oh boy, you should see my Hellraiser collection. Don't worry, that's a precursor to upcoming reviews. Some of these figures have suffered horrible fates, akin to perhaps what Hell itself would divvy up to them. A lot of the pieces, unfortunately, have broken off. A lot of the limbs have broken off because they utilize clear pegs. Luckily, knock on wood, no, there's nobody at the door. Knock on wood, nothing has gone astray, if you will, for Barbie. Everything on him is pretty much intact. On the underside, you're really not going to get, well, you're going to get feet, and awkwardly they're sculpted on the underside. Almost as if they're trying to pretend to be feet, but at the end of the day, I mean, really, when you have the figure displayed like this anyways, I don't even know why you would even bother to sculpt feet in. We clearly know this is all plastic. I mean, this is not quite solid plastic. The bottom base is, yes, plastic, but the rest of it is very much soft. Right here, it almost feels like I'm feeling legs. Literally, I'm feeling these little posts of plastic here. Probably just some posts to keep him stable. Although he's not a really heavy figure at all. Nice detailing done overall for the skirt itself. A nice combination of browns with some nice texturing done to the actual material. I don't know what material they would have used for it. It's not probably quite leather. It's a combination of probably several fabrics put together. A combination, though, however, of the browns and then now these nice blue colors that are making up the front skirting here. He does have some articulation, but very limited. And really, again, all of these Hellraiser figures are quite limited when they come to their posability. Just before we have a look at that, though, I'll show you how to take the head off. The head is actually quite easy. And because these ones are intended to being swapped out, NECA didn't decide to use clear pegs for these. And that's a good thing, because that's probably one of the reasons why Barbie is still pretty much intact. My poor Butterball. Poor Butterball has a broken arm. That's a precursor to a future review. Needless to say, though, we're going to pull that right off, swap it out for the desired head that we want. In this case, it's the only other head that comes included with the figure. And just in case you wanted to see what the difference was, left to right, anguish and anguish, that's apples to apples. There's no apples to oranges here. He's anguish on both. Although this one definitely does have the difference, being that that mouth is open. But the face does look very similar, if not exact, from like the nose upward. So it doesn't seem to be much different between the two. Once again, if you want to pop the flames in, simply as that, you got yourself a nice little showpiece. And of course, let's not forget the fact you can also put the mixer into his hand, just like that. And there you go, a great display piece. He definitely has a lot more personality, perhaps, than some of the other Cenobites, in the sense that at least he's got the flames. He doesn't have as much the creativity to him. Essentially, he's just a hefty guy wrapped up in barbed wire. But the personality certainly comes for the fact that he does have the flames projecting out from his mouth. And then again, just having this piece, which I think is a crucial piece for displaying Barbie. If you didn't have him without the mixer, it would just simply look like he's holding an invisible glass. Perhaps an invisible glass of gasoline, but an invisible glass nonetheless. As for this guy's articulation, his head does rotate left and right. Even if you put the flames in, or if you go sans flames, his head moves back and forth. His waist moves back and forth. And his arms move back and forth with some articulation happening in his hands. Not a whole lot, though. Like I said, these guys, for their time period of when they first came out, they were very limited on the articulation. Even though they were limited on articulation, they more than made up for it with really cool details. And in this case, not necessarily cool details, but really hot details, is the fact that Barbie does have the flamethrower breath. Just keep away from this guy. Keep away from anybody that's got flamethrower breath. You gotta feel bad for Barbie. Relegated only to Hellraiser 3 Hell on Earth and never appearing after the fact, he's one of those Cenobites that was exclusive to his own movie. He's not like the Chatterer, and he's not like Butterball, who's lucky enough to kind of make several appearances. Barbie is sort of only relegated to one film. And often at times, people do tend to confuse this one with Butterball. Looking at him immediately, you may think to yourself, oh, that's Butterball. No, that's Barbie. Based a name off of a designer doll, it couldn't be further from the truth. This one, of course, is wrapped up in barbed wire, hence the name Barbie. And the fact that he also was a bartender. Barbie. It's a bartender. The neat thing about this one is definitely the fact that he does have the flamethrower attachment that attaches to his mouth. It's sort of an awkward thing because if you buy this guy loose and he doesn't come with the flamethrower attachment and he only comes with the open mouth, well, it does look a little awkward. At least he does have his mixer glass. Make sure, of course, you buy one if you are buying it loose, one with the mixer glass to give this guy the complete look. Again, Barbie is not really one that I would recommend necessarily. I mean, I probably would go the likes of a Butterball before he would go to the Barbie, but if you are looking to complete your older Hellraiser collection, again, these are older figures, I think Barbie is a nice inclusion. Just, again, it's cooler looking, or hotter looking, if you will, if he does actually have all his accessories with him. The knock on wood good thing about Barbie as well is that he has very limited articulation, and that surprisingly is a good thing because he doesn't have to rely on the clear peg system that NECA toys were using for a lot of their older figures, resulting in a lot of NECA figures, specifically a lot of the Hellraiser figures, breaking a lot. And I have a lot of figures that have broken a lot. Sounds like a precursor for a future review. Precursing to a future review, make sure you are on board for that for the year 2020 by hitting that subscribe button down below and swinging over to the bell notification. I don't even know how active the bell notification will be in 2020, but I can most definitely tell you, if you are interested in checking out more of my videos and maybe feel like you may have missed stuff along the way, it's okay. Sometimes I feel like I've lost my head if it wasn't attached to my neck. Swing on over to the homepage, see if there's anything going on over there, maybe some stuff I might have posted and some stuff that you may have not watched yourself. Keep your peepers peeled, because we're going to have a look at some future NECA reviews. Not from the future, I'm not using Time Jumper to go shopping for me in the near future with Quaalos. That's the money that they use in the future. But no, certainly there's going to be some future NECA reviews. In other words, newer NECA reviews coming soon to this channel, and we're going to go and dabble into the past and have a look at pieces like this as well. So a little bit of both, a little bit of country, a little bit of rock and roll. Hopefully you guys will be staying tuned in 2020. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.